Hey, it's Shawn Hook, and you're hanging out on the Kelly Alexander Show.
What's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson.
Hey, it's Steve McRae.
Hey, I'm Josh from the band Need to Breathe.
I'm Olivia Lunny.
We are so excited to welcome to the Kelly Alexander Show, Akon. Hi.
What up, Kels?
Hey, I'm Judy Gold.
And I'm hanging out with the Kelly Alexander Show.
This is Jordan, and I'm hanging out on the Kelly Alexander Show.
I'm Rob, and I'm hanging out on the Kelly Alexander Show.
I'm hanging out with the Kelly Alexander Show right now.
Jealous?
I cannot tell you how excited I am to welcome this guy back to the show. I think actually when I think about it, you were one of my first interviews I've ever done as a radio announcer. So I will properly introduce Shawn Hook back to the show. And we're super excited to speak to Shawn. He has a new EP out called Beauty and Surrender and has had quite the year. So we cannot wait to talk to you. So Shawn, first of all, as mentioned, you and I go way back. And I know that when the news came out that you released the news that you were battling cancer, I was beyond like shocked and upset. And so I can't even imagine what it was like for you. How did you even know anything was wrong?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a great question. Initially, I remember the exact day. I was in Canada. It was Christmas Eve at my uncle's Christmas party, and like I felt like this bump on the side of my neck, and I thought maybe it was just like a swollen lymph node because that's kind of what it felt like. And didn't think much of it. But New Year's Eve came around, New Year's Day. I was feeling kind of like I just wanted to nap during the day all the time. I was like kind of getting really tired, and I partied throughout the holidays. I was like, oh, maybe it's just like getting back to like a routine. But the bump was not going away, and I didn't have a cold. I didn't have the flu. So usually you have like a swollen lymph node, you're fighting a cold or infection or something. But there was none of that. So I made an appointment with my doctor right away just to check. And thankfully I did. And I got in and he referred me to an ENT specialist pretty much right away. Got blood work done. Blood work came back normal. But the ENT seemed concerned because he didn't really know. He couldn't give me an answer one way or the other. And then he was like, let's do a biopsy. And then, of course, when you hear the word biopsy, you start thinking, okay, could this be cancer? And that's when my mind started racing, like, oh, hope it's not. And silly me, like back then I was like, oh, I've got a show next week, I can't have cancer. Like, just you don't think it's ever going to happen to you until it does. And so I actually had my show. I played the show, and at that point my show was like January, I think it was 19th, and it was sold out in my hometown. It was amazing. But I remember feeling like this might be my last show for a while, and maybe forever. I didn't know, but I was pretty scared at that point. It felt like something was wrong. It felt like what was going on was serious. And then I got the biopsy after the show, and then I got the call that it was cancer.
And so what cancer was it? And like, how quickly do you and doctors and your team like jump into action to start dealing with this?
Well, yeah, so it was, we didn't know what type of cancer right away. We knew that it was cancer because the biopsy it was a squamous cell carcinoma with a P16 expression, meaning it was actually from HPV, the HPV virus, human papillomavirus. And there's 2 strains out of 40 strains of HPV that are cancerous. So they knew that, but they didn't know where the primary cancer was. So I didn't want to wait. I had to wait for a PET CT scan to determine where the primary was. And it was like a 6 to 8 week wait is what I was quoted by my doctor in Vancouver. And I asked, I was like, is there any way to expedite this? He's like, well, the only way to do this is either do it privately or go down south and do it privately. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not going to wait. Like because we all know, like when you have a cancer diagnosis, time is ticking. They say within 6 weeks from diagnosis to treatment, it will progress. So I didn't want to waste time. And I literally 2 days after my biopsy results, I flew down to LA and got a PET CT scan. And right away they saw one of my right tonsil was like really bright on the scan. And that meant like the cancer was reacting, and that's where it was. So as soon as we determined that, I went back to Vancouver and got surgery like right away. But I really expedited the process there. And I got lucky, and I was fortunate enough to do that because I know some people aren't. And it's just with cancer, you just can't wait.
And when you were in the throes of this, were you in like, I don't even know, denial's not the word because you obviously jumped to action right away, but like, how do you even handle day to day?
Yeah, I definitely went through like the not denial phase, but just kind of like the disbelief. But then it's like, you know what? There's so many people out there that are doing that have gone that cancer has touched. And I quickly went into like, okay, I'm a very competitive person. So I was like, how am I going to beat this? How am I going to survive this? How, like, so I just overloaded myself with knowledge. I went and had 3 consultations with head and neck surgeons in Vancouver, Los Angeles, and phone consultations with doctors in Baltimore at one of the top cancer hospitals there. I talked to others who had the same type of cancer as me. I and all of it helped. It really helped because it gave me a foundation and a baseline of like, okay, this is something that is treatable. My oncologist, my head and neck surgeon, they all told me this is a treatable type of cancer. Their survivability rates are very high. So right away, that gave me confidence that okay, I'm gonna come out on the other side. Of course, it was scary. It's not guaranteed, and just the procedures itself have statistics that aren't very like survivability rates. Like when you hear stuff like morbidity, survivability, like all that, those are real numbers and real statistics. So I just took it day by day. I talked to people who had been through it. I focused on the positives, and I really had to like surrender to my situation and let go and just not try to as much knowledge and stuff I crammed in my brain about cancer. I just knew that I wasn't in control, and I just had to take it day by day and just trust the process of my treatment. Thankfully, as of now, it's worked.
That's amazing. And we're super happy. Like I was so excited when you put out the word on your social media that things were heading, in the right direction. And that's a question I also had for you is that as a fan of yours, like I appreciated that you shared some of your journey with us so that we knew kind of where you were at and where you were going. What was that like for you? Was it a bit cathartic to share with your fans? And you probably helped people. I'm not probably, you should have helped people, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, it was very cathartic. Like it was something that when I shared something, I received so much back and so much positivity, and also beyond the positivity, it was just like, oh, have you tried this for that, or like, I mean, my dad was going through this type of cancer, and he tried, going to this holistic doctor, and then it was like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option, and so, yeah, it was cathartic in the fact that all this positive energy was coming back to me whenever I put something out. And also, like, there were other tips that were shared with me, and whether I acted on them or not, it was great that I had the sense of like people were really caring for me, and that meant a lot. That meant a lot to me. So that's why I continued to share and engage. And as I got better, and as I found other things that helped me, I also hopefully helped others as well. And I know like people have reached out to me where someone in their family has been diagnosed with the same type of cancer as me, and so I've told them what worked for me, who I talked to, and unfortunately cancer is just becoming it's just such a it's I think it's 1 in 3 people will be affected by it, and anything we can do, I think once you go through it you realize there's a lot of us in the same boat. So I'm just happy to help if I can, and hopefully in 5 years I can say it's behind me completely. But you know, it's still in the back of my mind right now. But thankfully, I am back on my 2 feet and moving forward, and not having to go through treatment right now.
And when you were obviously in the initial throes of it, like where does music go? Did it go to like I just yeah, because I don't know if you needed it to help get you through, like, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Go.
No, that's a great question. I laugh a little bit because like I literally just had to unidentify with me as an artist, songwriter, singer, because mentally I didn't want to feel like I think I've always had so much wrapped up in who and what I am, like Shawn Hook, the artist, this singer, but that's defined me my whole life. But if I lost the ability to sing, what would I define myself as? So I honestly, I really had to I had to step back. I had to step back from, and it's interesting because most people assumed, oh my God, you must have been writing every single day. And I was like, no, it was actually opposite. I really just had to take a step back from everything and just really reevaluate my life as a human being, what I wanted out of the rest of my life, knowing that our days are numbered, regardless of a cancer diagnosis or not. Like we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So it was a lot of self-evaluation and just like you said, day at a time. And music was just something that I listened to and enjoyed. But in terms of creating, I didn't find it inspiring to create in those moments. And then once I was in remission, I still physically felt like crap. Chemo is it does awful things to your body, and radiation, and just the physical blow I took. I just wasn't in the physical frame of mind or mental frame of mind just to go in the studio and sit down and work uh, until I felt inspired and healthy enough to go and do so, which eventually happened for me. But in it was very much I was just listening to music and just meditating, and Bob Marley was like on repeat.
That's all
Don't
that you
worry.
need. That's good. Now,
Yeah, honestly.
were you was most of the summer, like when did you love last summer, when did you start to feel
Mhm.
like to head back into the studio? Like was it most of last year that you didn't?
Yeah, most of last year I didn't. It wasn't until end of it's probably early fall, end of summer that I started I moved down to LA, and I remember just taking my guitar and sitting down in the living room, and yeah, I think it was like end of September where I just finally felt like I had the bug, and like the inspiration was there, and I wrote this song called Carry Me, and it was very cathartic as well. It was about the people around me that uh carried me through what I went through. And it's fun. I wrote another song, like a ballad called Pick You Up, and that Pick You Up is actually on the EP. But Carry Me might come out on another EP, but for now, that Pick You Up is a song that I really wanted to write for the other people that picked me up, so to speak. And that was when, like, okay, I'm here again. And it's interesting. Like, music's always has been my career for as long as I know it. But when I started, it was never a career. It was just something that I was inspired to do, and I did it like as much as I could. And so I was kind of waiting for that tank to fill up again before I jumped back in. And thankfully, it did pretty much shortly after I felt physically able to, sit down and not feel tired and sleepy and all those things.
Talk to us about the people that carried you through that, because I know you mentioned you went back or in Vancouver, so I'm assuming your parents. I know you have a fiance now, so
Yeah,
so
yeah,
talk to us about who helped you through this.
yeah. Try not to get emotional when I talk about it, because it really I really do. And it's just because it's just ultimate gratitude when trying to fight the emotion, but it's hard. um a lot of people, family, my fiance, fans, like everybody. And it's just, you realize, like, there were also people that complete strangers that came out of nowhere and called me every week, and just gave me strength and hope. And oh, yeah, I I'm thinking of one friend who actually is from Montreal, and she she was diagnosed with brain cancer, and she would message me every week when I was going through chemo, and she was so strong. Um and she didn't let me know what she was going through, but I'd talk to her and ask about her situation. She was always just kind of downplaying it, and unfortunately she passed away this past year of from her brain cancer. And she was just such a hero to me because she never let me feel any sort of fear about it. It was just like, wow, you're going through this, like, you're going through brain cancer, and you're it's not phasing you. And it's people like that really, like, help me. So when I go back and think about that, I get so emotional about it. But I'm very grateful for a lot of people. And yeah.
Was it hard, Shawn, for you, like, to write, uh, because you were just coming from such a, like, first of all, a physically challenging time, not to mention mental and emotional, like, how did you pick which songs were gonna make it on this EP? Because I'm sure so much came out when you did decide to go back into the studio.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And a lot of it, Some of it is logistics. Like, I wrote some of these songs before I was sick, and I felt really good about them, and I was planning to release them the year I was right before I was diagnosed. I was doing a tour in Canada, and the goal was to put out the EP that year. Unfortunately, I got sick, and so we had to put a pause on that. So there's half of the EP is basically songs that were finished and ready to go that I recorded, and then the other half is basically the new songs. And then there's a bunch of other new songs I've been writing that won't be on this EP, but the way the logistics happened is just this became a 6-song EP, and but there's plenty more coming.
Can you explain the title to us, Beauty and Surrender? Because I know I read about it, but I want the fans to understand like the title because it's very special.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, last year, surrender was a big word for me. Surrender gave me a lot of strength. And when you hear surrender, it's like, oh, I'm giving up. But the other side of surrendering is letting go of things you can't control. Because when I was getting caught up in this and that and this and that, it was really like making me anxious, and the worry was really weighing on me heavily, and it was counterintuitive to someone who wants to be in a healthy, peaceful place. So I remember right before surgery, I was listening to Bob Marley. I was just like, my surgeon had a piece of, it was like a painting on his wall in his office, and it said something, "You're in God's hands." And he said, I got this from a patient, and it's true, because I'm there to do my job, but you're also in God's hands. And I just really had to let go, pray to God, and let him carry me through what I went through. And surrender was basically where I found my peace, and I found beauty in surrender. That was the whole point of the of the title of the record. And so those themes are kind of woven throughout some of the songs that are going to be on it as well.
Do you have a song on the EP that really like obviously they're all special, but like is one like the one?
That's interesting. It depends on the mood, the mood and the feel. Because like when I do a show, it's like I want I want there to be a good dynamic. I want people to dance. I want people to have fun, and then I also want people to feel something, And I think 6 songs is I could do an album like 12 songs, but I picked 6 of like each one has its own feel and mood, and dynamic. So I don't. What's the one? I don't know if there's the one, because they each speak to a different emotion. I think the one, maybe it's like, if you're gonna play me one song, I think Magic is always the one that's up there, depending what time of day it is. And then the other one is Rocks, which is coming out, which I'll put out with the EP. And it's about overcoming, or not overcoming. It's really about trying to rescue and save a relationship when it's pretty much on the ropes, or on the rock, so to speak. But that one came from a real place as well.
Now, it goes without saying, obviously, that what you've been through in the last year has changed you. Would you say you even recognize yourself, let's say like 18 months ago before this even happened? Like, or have you changed that much? Or has your outlook on life, has your outlook on your career changed that much? Or has it solidified things? Like how has this profoundly changed you?
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter. I think it's more so solidified things. It's made me realize situations, and professionally and personally, that really matter, and ones that don't really matter, and in putting more focus and energy into the ones that do matter. Uh, because again, we're only guaranteed a certain amount of time, and so I think in my 20s, I used to just energetically, I just go out after everything, like every party. I had to be there. I had to be there, like FOMO, like to the max, and just talking myself into convincing myself, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, and or certain people that I thought were like really good friends, and so I would like put a lot into those relationships, and then you only realize, oh, they're friends because you have a song on the radio right now, or like whatever that situation is, and you really find out who's really there for you when you go through adversity and hard times, and I want to give more of me, whatever I have left, to those types of people in those types of situations.
What do you want your fans and new fans to take away from Beauty and Surrender?
That's a great question. I take away whatever it inspires you to feel, and that's probably a very general answer. Uh, I my goal is to have my songs become my fan songs. I want my fans to relate to them in their own way because of something they're going through, and maybe them, empathizing with the emotions that I put out there will help them in a way. I've said it for my whole career. I love music because it brings people together, and there's just so much negativity going on in our world. It seems like it just daily, like it's hard to look at Twitter anymore, or X, I guess. um, it's just everything's so divisive. So I'm hoping my music will bring people together, and people can, feel something when they listen to it.
Now that it's out, what is next for you? Like, are we gonna see you on tour? Are you already working on the next project? Like, what is Shawn Hook doing?
Yeah, all the above. I mean, truthfully, I'll tour when, people show up. It's been so long since I've been out because of, obviously my health issues last year, but I'm hoping my music speaks for where I was during that absence, and people want to come out and see me, and the goal would be to get out in the fall. Um but maybe it might be early next year. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see how much, people in Montreal when they hear Magic on the radio and want Sean Hook to come out.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah.
And just you being in Los Angeles now, like, how has that changed or like for you? Because do you miss being in Canada or you're very happy that you made this decision? I know you've been back and forth for LA for years, but like,
Yeah.
why was the decision to go again?
Well, I love Canada, and I miss Canada dearly. It's my favorite place to be in the summer and winter. I'm playing hockey. Playing hockey down here is hard. It's hard, but I still do it. I still do it. I still drive out to this rink that barely has ice, but there's ice in California. Um, I came down because it was a personal decision with my fiance, and she's American, so she won the location battle, unfortunately. But for my career, there's a lot of people that I work with here, more so than I did in Vancouver, and not because I didn't like working with people. I loved working with certain people in Vancouver, but there's just a lot more, a bigger pool of talent here, and I'm able to be more efficient here. Whereas it's like I can fill a week of sessions of writing, recording, uh, with different people in Vancouver. It's like you can't really do that. So yeah, it made sense personally. It made sense career wise as well.
I have a couple of quick questions for you to get, your fans excited about a few things. So first of all, is there a Canadian artist right now that you would love to collaborate with? Because I know you've worked with many. I know that you are friends with many. But yeah, is there somebody on like in the top, the pop landscape in Canada right now that you would love to do a song with?
I really like Tate McRae. I think her voice is really cool and special, and I really like her music. And I've always done duets, so I feel like we can do something cool. We'll see.
What's the activity or like a hobby that you do that gets you off your phone or away from a computer or away from the studio?
Honestly, hockey. I still play. It's just a great workout down here, and it's when I go out there, I put the cage on. I don't have to be like anybody or pretend. It's just fun. I'm not looking at my phone at all. It's nothing to do with music. It is great.
Is
Although
there
everybody who plays here is like in the industry. It's like I was playing with the guitar player for a Panic at the Disco the other day, and we're just like in the dressing room talking, and just like, oh, you're in music. Oh, you're in music. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm in a band. I'm like, cool. What's your band name? Oh, Panic at the Disco. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, it's so random.
that's pretty cool if you're
But the
playing.
Beebs plays at this rink too every now and
Oh, that's great. Have you
then.
met Justin? Like, have you?
I haven't yet. No, we've
Okay.
crossed paths at a couple of award shows and stuff, but I've never had a chance to actually sit down and talk to him.
And what about Shawn Mendes?
Yeah, yeah, I met Sean actually. Yeah, he was actually pretty cool early on at when I was nominated for the Junos in Calgary. I think it was 2016. I had laryngitis, and he was like, "Hey man, like I heard you were sick. I've got like this cool like humidifier thing. If you want to borrow it, just let me know. I'm staying over. I'm like, yeah, cool, man. And I've run into him at a couple other things down south of the border as well. But I haven't not. It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've talked to him.
You and Jan Arden are buddies, aren't you?
Yeah, Jen, she's amazing. Yeah, we go way back. I opened for her way back in the day, in Canada, up in Prince George and Penticton, and um, she is just a hoot. I love Jen, and she's so funny, and we keep in touch on socials. And during the pandemic, I was doing like a living room concert series where every week I would invite people like Jen and Serena Ryder, and but she came on and it was awesome. And like Michael Bublé was watching my live stream. I'm like, Jen, Michael Bublé's watching live stream. This is pretty cool. I was like, Mike, come on. He's like, nah, like it's fine. It's fine. But Jen's amazing.
I always loved it because didn't you play with her or something at a Juno Awards or something? Didn't you guys sing?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I performed. Yeah, we did a Burton Cummings tribute. Break It to Him Gently was a song we performed. And Jen, yeah, it was awesome. It was just I was just in awe the whole time. I went and rehearsed at her house in Calgary, and then the next day we performed on the Junos. It was just so surreal for Burton Cummings, and it was really awesome.
That's
Yeah,
so
she's amazing. She's a forever idol for me and a mentor and a friend.
I wanted to ask you too, what is your favorite thing about Montreal?
Ooh, I love that Montreal is unique. Like it's not like any other place in Canada, and it's not throwing shade to any other place in Canada. But I love the food. I love the fashion. My favorite sushi place, because I'm vegetarian, is in Montreal. And I just any like, it's funny when I was on tour there, we went there with my band, and my bass player, he's not vegetarian, but he loved it so much. On his wedding anniversary, he drove from Toronto to Montreal just so they can do sushi. I was like, yep, it's amazing. But I do love it. I think it's I think maybe the food in general and just the energy, the nightlife. The fans are always super engaged when I'm out there. So yeah, I
Have
don't
you
know. There's too many things.
have you ever recorded here, Shawn? Like, have you recorded any music here?
So Magic actually technically was recorded in Montreal. The producer I worked with, Jonathan Nathaniel, is from Montreal, but we recorded it during pandemic. So I did most of my parts in Vancouver, and he did his parts in Montreal. So and I had a trip scheduled to go out there, but it got canceled because of COVID. But we've been talking, and we're gonna make it happen. But yeah,
And
but
I have to
Magic
ask,
is half
it is
born in
Montreal.
Montreal.
And I have to ask you this, obviously you've toured many different places. What is the difference or what makes Montreal special when you perform in our city?
I would say the fans. Like it's I know you can say that for like every city, but like it's like a musical, like they're there for the music. And I think like the ovations I've always got that, like it just felt like this sincere connection. The last time I performed there, I mean, I'm trying to think. The last time I performed there was um, probably before the pandemic. But I just remember an encore. I just remember like the fans just really, really engaged in the performance. So yeah, and it's consistent. I've performed there other times before, like after that, in 2012 when I first met you. I think I did like a tour through there a couple years later, and I opened up for somebody opened up for Lights at the what's it called, the Metro.
Metropolis?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
yeah, Metropolis. Yeah, and that was like one of my favorite shows at that time in my career because it was just like people loved it. I was the opening act. The energy was incredible, and the room was incredible. So yeah, no, I've never had a bad show in Montreal, so that says a lot.
Yep, it's true. Yep. And
Yeah.
I have to ask you this just because she is everywhere these days and doing amazing things. And I know obviously that you're a serious songwriter. What are your thoughts on Taylor Swift and her songwriting ability?
I think she's amazing. Like I think it's incredible. Like she's so prolific, and she's been able to maintain outside of her songwriting, her brand, her image, her just everything about her. Every time she puts a new record, I put it on just because I'm like I want to hear what's going on. And there's obviously some great producers she collaborates with, but as a songwriter, she's incredible.
Have you met Jack Antonoff? Because I feel like you've been in LA so long that
I haven't met Jack. Yeah.
okay.
But
Let's put that in the universe. I think you should work with him. So
I would love to. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that would love to work with him.
that's good. And just a final question, message for your Montreal fans.
Message for Montreal fans. It's been a long time since I've been there, but I'm going to come back, and I cannot wait to come back and party and celebrate life with you.
Amazing. Shawn, thank you so much for doing this. I am so happy to have you back.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks, Kelly.
That is Shawn Hook. Do not forget to check out his brand new EP, Beauty in Surrender, and of course, hit up his website, ShawnHook.com, for all of his social media handles.
Hey, it's Kelly Alexander, and thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, so you are the first in line for all the cool content coming your way.